I didn't find out I'd been made the idiot of the story until way too late. Looking back, the warning signs weren't flashing neon. They were small, quiet things. Little cracks in the life I honestly thought was solid. I'm 32 and work as a line cook at a family-style diner off the highway. Not glamorous, but it's steady. Most days are a blur of sizzling grills, ticket orders, and the smell of burnt toast that never really leaves your clothes. My fiancée, Kelsey, works there too as a server. We met over refills and side salads. Fell in that everyday kind of love you build between split shifts and late-night drive-through runs. We'd been engaged for a year, saving for a small wedding and maybe a nicer apartment than our one-bedroom with the rattling AC. Our routine was simple. I opened the kitchen most mornings. She usually took the later shifts. On nights we both closed, we'd come home exhausted, split a frozen pizza, and watch whatever reality show she was into until we passed out on the couch. We weren't rich, but I was content. Bills got paid, barely. We argued sometimes about money or chores, but nothing felt dangerous or final. The first little warning sign was her phone. Kelsey used to toss it anywhere. Counter, couch cushions, bathroom sink. Then suddenly it was always face down, locked, and never out of her hand for more than a minute. I noticed it one Thursday night. We were half watching some dating show while she texted like her thumbs were on fire. Every few seconds the screen lit up, and she tilted away from me in this tiny, almost casual move that still punched me in the gut. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just Megan," she said, meaning her co-worker from her other job at O'Malley's, the bar down the road. Her voice was light, but her eyes didn't leave the screen. Kelsey had picked up a few bartending shifts at O'Malley's a couple months before, just to help with wedding costs. I believed her. I took extra hours at the diner too, burning myself out because that's what you do when you're building a life with someone. At first, her new schedule made sense. Later nights, getting home around 1 or 2 a.m., smelling like beer and cheap perfume, pockets full of crumpled singles. She'd crash into bed and mumble about rowdy regulars and stupid drunk guys. But then the stories stopped matching the hours. She'd say she was covering a short shift, but her Uber receipts on our shared email showed rides home at 3:45 a.m. Twice she came home without the tips she swore she made. I told myself I was being paranoid. I'd been cheated on once before in my early 20s, and it had messed with my head more than I liked to admit. So I chalked the weirdness up to my own baggage, swallowed the questions, and kept flipping burgers. The next red flag came from someone I never thought I'd question, my best friend Ryan. He and I grew up together, played baseball in the same dusty park, and now he worked as a mechanic at the shop behind the diner. He knew everything about my life, including the parts I didn't say out loud. Ryan had always gotten along with Kelsey. Too well sometimes, but I took it as a good sign. I wanted my best friend and my fiancée to like each other. One night, I got cut early from my shift because it was dead. I texted Kelsey to see if she wanted me to swing by O'Malley's and walk her home. She replied almost instantly, "Super busy tonight. Might be here late. Just go home and rest, babe." On my way out, I stopped by the garage to say hi to Ryan. He was leaning against a car, wiping his hands on a rag, phone sitting on the tool cart next to him. When he saw me, his face did this quick flicker thing, surprise, then something else. Gone in a second. "Didn't think you were off yet," he said. "Slow night," I shrugged, thinking about grabbing a beer at O'Malley's while I wait for Kels. His eyes darted to his phone so fast I almost missed it. "Nah, man, I heard they're dead tonight. She'll probably get sent home early," he said too quickly. It didn't match what Kelsey had just texted me. I laughed it off because that's what you do when something feels wrong, but you're not ready to name it. "Yeah, maybe," I said. We chatted for a minute about the game that weekend, but my brain was stuck on that look, that tiny flinch. Driving home, I couldn't shake the feeling that my life had shifted a couple of inches to the left. Nothing had blown up yet, but the air felt different, heavier, like a storm was forming somewhere just out of sight. I didn't know it yet, but that was the night I stopped being just a guy with a fiancée and a best friend. That was the night I became the guy in a story about betrayal. I just hadn't seen the full picture. Yet. After that weird look Ryan gave me at the garage, my life felt off in a way I couldn't name. Kelsey's late shifts at O'Malley's got later. Ryan always had some excuse. I kept telling myself I was just tired, not suspicious. One Saturday, I finally had a full day off, just laundry and a quiet apartment. Kelsey said she had a double, diner in the morning, bar at night. She kissed my cheek. Text you on my break, okay? By noon, my phone was still silent. I checked it between loads. Around 2, Carla called. Is Kelsey okay? She asked. Did she call out? No, I said. She left for her shift this morning. Why? She doesn't work mornings anymore, Carla said. She asked off days last week. Nights only. I thought you knew. We hung up, and I just sat there with the phone in my hand, feeling stupid. At 3:17 p.m., Kelsey finally texted. Sorry, babe, crazy busy. People are animals today. Yeah, I bet. Hang in there, I replied. I didn't mention Carla. One lie and a bad feeling weren't enough. I wanted something nobody could talk their way around. That night I told Kelsey I'd picked up an extra closing shift. Her face lit up. You're the best. That'll help so much with the florist. She dressed for work in tight jeans, a low-cut top, more makeup than usual. As soon as she left, I grabbed my jacket and slipped out the back stairs. I cut through the alley by the mechanic shop. The bay door was shut, but Ryan's truck sat out back. I stared at it for a second, then kept walking. O'Malley's is about a 15-minute walk. When I got there, the front lights were on, but the door was locked. A handwritten sign said, closed for private event. Sorry for the inconvenience. They should have been open. I checked the painted hours anyway. Out back, a single bulb buzzed over the service door. Music and laughter leaked through. I was halfway there when a truck door slammed. Ryan. I ducked behind a dumpster. He walked up, punched a code into the keypad, and went inside like he'd done it 100 times. Whatever excuses I'd been making for them fell apart right there. After a minute, I crept to the back window. The glass was greasy, but there were clear streaks. Inside, the bar was lit. Not a normal shift. No uniforms, no strangers at the counter. Just a small group with beers, music, a pool game going. Kelsey sat on a bar stool in the middle. Same jeans, same top, drink in hand. Ryan stood between her knees, one arm on the bar behind her. He said something. She laughed and rested her hand on his chest. Then he lifted her chin with one finger, and she tilted her head and kissed him. I watched just long enough to know there was no way to misunderstand it. Then I stepped away from the window. The walk home barely registered. Back at the apartment, I sat at the kitchen table where I'd talked to Carla. It wasn't just that they were together. They'd built their version of life around it and left me holding rent, bills, and double shifts. In their story, I was the tired, loyal idiot. I pictured a big confrontation, yelling, tears, Ryan acting offended. And somehow I ended up as the problem. I wasn't giving them that, so I made a quiet decision instead. If they thought I was easy to fool, I'd let them keep believing it. But from that night on, I stopped looking away. I was going to pay attention. And when I had enough, I was going to end this in a way they couldn't twist. I didn't confront them that night or the next. Anger makes you loud, but betrayal makes you strategic. Kelsey acted normal the next morning, hair in a messy bun, yawning, stealing the last of the cereal. She kissed my forehead like she hadn't had her hands all over my best friend 12 hours earlier. Double again tonight, she said. I nodded, playing the same clueless role she expected. If she was going to lie, I needed the whole picture first. Not guesses, not suspicions. Proof no one could dance around. I started small. Whenever she worked late, I noted the time she left, the time she texted, the time she came home. I didn't snoop through her phone. She kept that thing locked down like Fort Knox, but I paid attention to everything around it. Meanwhile, I kept acting tired, worn out, grateful for her hard work. She relaxed. Lies come easier when you think the other person has stopped looking. A week later, I walked past Ryan's shop during my break. The bay door was open, and his phone sat on the workbench while he talked to a customer. I wasn't stupid enough to pick it up, but the screen lit up with a notification. Kay, back door tonight? Same time? I didn't even react. I just walked to the soda machine, bought a root beer, and went back inside the diner like nothing had changed. That evening, I told Kelsey I was covering someone's prep shift the next morning and needed to sleep early. She brightened instantly. Two instantly. Of course, babe. I'll be quiet when I get in. She got dressed for her shift again. Tight jeans, low-cut top, the perfume she barely used anymore unless she was going out without me. The second the door closed behind her, I grabbed my jacket and took the long way toward O'Malley's. I wasn't going back to the window. I wanted something better. The bar's owner, Eddie, is a cranky guy in his 60s, but he's honest in a way that makes him accidentally helpful. I caught him locking up the front door while Kelsey and Ryan were undoubtedly slipping in through the back. "Thought you guys had a private event tonight," I said casually. Eddie snorted. "Private event? Hell no. I just let those two borrow the place after hours again. Saves me dealing with nonsense." I kept my face neutral. "Those two? Your mechanic buddy and that server from your diner. They like the place dark, music low, no customers, young people stuff." That was all I needed, confirmation from someone who had nothing to gain by lying. I walked away with a calmness I didn't expect. The heartbreak had already happened. Now I was planning. My revenge wasn't going to be screaming or throwing drinks in faces. I wanted them to feel the consequences without giving them a single angle to blame me. Step 1, money. Kelsey and I split everything. Rent, utilities, groceries. But I'd been the one picking up extra shifts and covering the gaps. I stopped, quietly. No more sending extra payments from my account. No more surprise grocery runs. No more, "I'll get it this time." I let the bills fall exactly where they were supposed to. She didn't notice at first. Step 2, the apartment. The lease was in my name. I'd been too in love to think twice about it. Turns out that made things very easy now. I found a small studio across town. Nothing fancy, but clean and quiet. I signed the paperwork and paid the deposit with money I would have otherwise been handing to a woman who was sneaking around behind my back. Step 3, timing. I needed one more piece, something undeniable, something in their own words, and they handed it to me. One night, around 2:30 a.m., Kelsey came home giggling. She tossed her purse on the floor and went straight to the shower, leaving her phone on the counter, screen glowing. For once, she forgot to lock it. Not wide open, just the last notification showing on the lock screen. "Ryan, miss you already. Wish you didn't have to pretend around him." Pretend. Pretend. That one word was enough. I didn't open her phone. I didn't need to. I took a photo of the screen with mine, placed hers exactly where she left it, and went to bed before she got out of the shower. The plan was complete. The only thing left was to execute it with the same quiet precision they'd used to betray me. And I was finally ready. The morning I ended it, everything felt strangely calm. Not dramatic, not emotional, just done. Kelsey stumbled into the kitchen wearing one of my old shirts, hair a mess, acting like we were still the couple she pretended we were. She poured coffee, kissed my cheek, and said, "You're the best, babe. Seriously." I didn't respond. Not in anger. I just had nothing left to give the lie. She headed to work. As soon as the door clicked shut, I grabbed the folder I'd put together. Our lease copy, the photo of her lock screen message, the unpaid bills with her half untouched, and a short printed note I wrote at 3 a.m. Then I packed the last duffel bag from the hallway closet and walked out for the last time. I dropped the folder on the kitchen table, right where she usually left her tip money. On top was the note. "The pretending is over. The lease is in my name. You have 30 days to move out. I'll be staying elsewhere. Do not contact me." No accusations. No explanations. Just facts she couldn't spin. I turned in my keys to the landlord, picked up the keys to my new studio, and went to my shift like it was any normal day. Around 9 p.m., my phone exploded with messages. At first polite, "Babe, did you move some stuff?" Then frantic, "Where are you?" Then angry, "You can't just walk out." Then escalating into full-blown panic. "What do you mean 30 days? We need to talk." I didn't respond to anything. Silence is powerful when someone's used to you filling the emotional gaps. She showed up at the diner mid-shift. I was plating chicken fried steak when one of the servers rushed in. Your fiancée is here and she looks not great." I wiped my hands and walked out front. Kelsey was by the door, hair messy from running, face blotchy from crying. Her mascara was smudged, but her expression said she was more scared than sorry. "Can we talk?" she whispered. "No," I said quietly. "Read the note again." She grabbed my arm. "It didn't mean anything with him. It was just—" "Pretending?" I asked. The moment the word left my mouth, she froze. A single second where she realized I had receipts she couldn't argue with. "We can fix this," she said, voice cracking. "I messed up, but—" I stepped back. "Fix it with the guy you've been sneaking into bars with after hours." Her mouth fell open, but no words came out. She wasn't ready for calm. She expected screaming, accusations, something she could push back against. Silence and certainty broke her instead. The owner, Mr. Perkins, stepped between us gently. "Ma'am, you need to leave." She left sobbing. I walked back into the kitchen and finished my shift. Ryan showed up 2 days later at the studio. I knew he would. He knocked like he owned the building. When I opened the door, he started into his whole speech about misunderstanding, friendship, a one-time mistake, the usual garbage. I cut him off with the same calm I'd used on Kelsey. "You don't have access to me anymore." "What's that supposed to mean?" he snapped. "It means I'm done playing the part you counted on," I said. "We're not friends. We won't talk. We won't fix anything. It's over." He tried to step forward. I closed the door in his face. He yelled for a minute, then stomped off. Haven't seen him since. Fallout was quiet but thorough. Kelsey moved out of the old apartment within the 30 days. People at work eventually pieced it together. O'Malley's owner had a big mouth, and sympathy leaned my way without me saying a single word. I didn't need to defend myself. The truth handled that on its own. The nights got easier. The new place was small, but the silence felt honest. No lies in the walls, no late-night footsteps that didn't match the story I'd been told. What I learned, painfully but clearly, is this. Betrayal doesn't always show up with fireworks. Sometimes it slips in through the back door, laughing and whispering, assuming you'll never notice. But paying attention is a kind of power, and walking away, clean, quiet, with dignity intact, is sometimes the sharpest revenge there is. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I just stopped playing the fool. That was enough.